if I saw another day, only to scream into the night. Nothing ever tries to change, even if I want to realize. 'Cause I've been sitting here, same old ways, taking off without the same mistake. Darling, when you go away, won't be as simple for you.
Not even on camera. Yo, guys. It is Old Man G here, back again. Eddie, I see you in the back. I will bring you in. Wow, this was supposed to be a simple United Spurs match breakdown. I've been very busy working recently, so I've not had the time of just fitting things around. Just life. And it was going to be fairly quick. Unfortunately, there's been certain news around a certain CR700, which we're going to have to address. Before we get into it, if you are new to the channel, remember to like, share, and subscribe to Red Devil Studio. Follow us on Twitter, United X, and smash the notification button for latest match news. I've just seen Michael's DM. I've just seen your DM, Michael. I will send you the link. I will just send you the link now. Let me just message it. Oh, buddy. Cool. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, big up, buddy. Yes, yeah, I'll join. Yes, yeah. Just send it to you as well, Michael. Just send it as well. Okay, so let me start with the shout out to Ad74 in the chat as well, man. Let me start with the positives first, because this was supposed to be a United versus Spurs match day breakdown. I think that's the most important thing to talk about, and then we will go and talk about the negative, which is this whole Ronaldo saga debacle. We played well. We played really, really well. Probably the best that we played, I would argue, this season. In part helped because of how bad Spurs are. I mean, I can't really read a lot into it, given the fact that even under Ollie and Ragnick last season, when we were awful, we still somehow managed to slap Spurs. They just don't seem to be able to play well against us. But that's I don't take from the experience. The intensity, the pressing, and even in Old Trafford, the actual enthusiasm for the players, it was almost like, okay, finally the players look like they're playing, 10 hag ball. It looks like this is the football that we want to play as Manchester United. And shout out to, Casemiro, who I think has been a credible signing, Varane, the two ex-Madrid players who've really come into this team and have improved our team in defense, in the midfield. Fred obviously having one of his better games, potentially arguably one of the man of match in performance. And I've said several times that that's where I think that Fred is good at. If we're talking about high intensity pressing and the physicality to do that, that's what you need. That's what you need Fred for, and the physicality in midfield as well. His ball technique is not great, and he can be harassed. But with a team like Spurs under Conte, who just like to sit back, that's what you use, So I think Fred was good in that respect. Rashford, I know he's not a number 9, but obviously, and we'll talk a bit later about him being preferred over, say, Ronaldo in that position, and obviously Sancho Nancy playing well. But overall, and the defense, and it's can't be understated how good the United defense is. The chemistry. Luke Shaw's coming in at left back from Malacia, so who still think is a solid player. A centre back partnership. De Gea seems to be playing from the back a bit more. Dallow's over there, so it's good that United Manchester actually have a solid base. If you exclude the Brentford and the City games, the amount of goals we conceded recently has actually not been that bad. So long may it continue, and I think there'll be a big test and hopefully me and HH will be doing a match preview about the Chelsea game. I will happen to come back. I will be happy to come back from Madrid to do that preview and to give my thoughts on why I think that why Chelsea are still favourites to win that game as opposed to Manchester United. Just bearing that in mind. So overall, I was very happy with the performance, and I think that I think that I don't think we can play like this against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, and I'd be interested to see who Ten Hag picks, whether he's going to pick this unchanged team, because I think that United could potentially get exposed if we play that high press against Chelsea, or maybe with now, for example, McTominay coming back, we might go slightly conservative. I don't think you can drop Casemiro, but maybe you bring in McTominay in there. Does Eriksen come back into this team? It's interesting just because now United have gone from a situation where we were literally like, we don't have any midfielders. What do we do to, I wonder what midfielders we should play to actually maximize our chance of winning the game. I think that's a very good position to have. The issue that United have right now is in the attack. Like there isn't really a standout attacker this season, and you could potentially fit multiple players in the position because I don't think anyone so far has stood out in my personal opinion. I mean, Anthony is his first season; he's doing his thing. I still expect much more from Sancho, which I've not been seeing. And Ronaldo, we'll talk about that later. Martial is always injured. Rashford could have had multiple goals yesterday, but his finishing and his composure hasn't improved for what seems like years, to be honest. He can finish, but I just don't think you're ever going to. I just don't think Rashford's ever going to become a clinical player. I like to think that he'd improve under Ten Hag in that respect, but it just seems like he's getting to the point of his career where, like, he's, and I don't want to be disrespectful, but it's almost like a level above Danny Welbeck potentially in terms of that. And I know people might say that, but I just think I expected at this point better from Marcus Rashford, and I'm not saying he had a terrible game, but maybe it's just the fact that maybe him and Martial need to be together for it to work. But just if Marcus Rashford going forward is going to be our number 9, I still think we're going to struggle this season. And depending on what happens to Ronaldo, we need to reinvest that money into getting another one, whether that's a Gakpo or something like that. So that's my general overall summary of the thoughts of this game. I'm going to bring in Eddie and Mike in to give me their thoughts, and then we will go into the big topic of tonight, which is Ronaldo. So let me just bring them in. One second. Hello, guys. How you doing?
Big up, man. How you guys doing? Yo, can you hear me?
Oh, I'm muted. There we go.
I'm happy that Manchester United have won. Obviously, we'll talk about the Ronaldo situation. Well, let's as I brought you in, guys. Let's just give me your thoughts on your. I'll go to Mike first because obviously being a Liverpool fan, Liverpool beat West Ham. They look like they're now coming back into their form. What are your thoughts?
They barely beat them, barely.
They did. They still beat them. So, but I mean, what was your thoughts as a Liverpool fan observing how United played against Spurs?
I can't lie. I think United should have won that game 5 or 6-0.
Yeah.
If you just had a clinical striker, you would have easily wiped the floor with Conte's side. I think that was your best performance in years. I didn't see that sort of performance under Ole. Definitely not ragdoll. That was Ten Hag ball in full effect. I mean, honestly, that was the pressing that you guys did in Spurs. You absolutely suffocated them. You didn't give them an inch of space, and the chances you create. Like, okay, obviously, Fred. I actually rate Fred a lot. I think Fred is a good midfielder. He can just be so inconsistent. When he's on his day good, you see what he brings to the squad. The amount of times he won the ball back in Spurs half, I think he won it like 5 times at least from what I can remember. If Rashford just knew how to finish, you guys would have won easily. And that's just the problem. He just needs to get his confidence back for you guys. But I got to say, I think United were really impressive. It's just now, can you consistently do it? It's good doing it one game, but can you do it for 4 or 5 games against the top sides? Can you just get that narrow wins over the lower sides? Because Obviously, it's going to be a bit more difficult, but I also have to say Spurs were terrible. I mean, you talk about some dinosaur football. That's even more prehistoric than dinosaur football. I don't even know what sort of football that was, but yeah, I can't lie. United were really good last night.
Eddie, your thoughts on the game?
You know what? Just coming off the back of Mike's point. By the way, big up to you. I've not spoken to you in a bit, but yeah, Spurs seemed like they were tired. It looked like they actually played like an extra game before or something. I don't know what was wrong with their energy, because we know they played like this kind of low block, low energy football for most of the game, and then they can break with energy. There was no countering and breaking with energy. It was weird because they're a team that scored like some of the most goals. They've got, I think they were like, was it top 3? So it's like they weren't that bad in previous games. I don't know what was going on there, but in terms of Man United, that was good for United to build the confidence. They were monopolizing the ball. Like Michael was saying, it's like I would say the same thing. Best performance, the best version of Ten Hag football, because the counter pressing, they wouldn't let Spurs out.
Ooh,
I mean, I'm
wait.
props to Man United. As well as Spurs, Man United were on point with the counter pressing and not allowing them to do what they wanted to do. Well, yeah, what were you going to say?
No. I've just Ronaldo looks like he's released a statement, but let's just wrap up our thoughts on this game and then we'll get into it. So because I'll just share screen the statement and reaction.
I mean, you've been through a lot of things, so I'll just add a few more points. And yeah, I might as well talk about Ronaldo, because I was going to say that he should have started. I can see why he's angry, because remember last season, like his record against Spurs was a proper record. I mean, he scored that volley from Bruno's assist at their ground. He scored one of them nice long range shots at Old Trafford.
Didn't he score a hat trick at Old Trafford?
He scored a hat trick at Old Trafford, and he scored the goal against 4 goals.
Got a header, got a tap in. So you're thinking, Ronaldo, play him for this kind of game, because they're going to be low block. You don't need people running in behind. You just need a striker in there that you can hit to get one of them nice finishes. And we saw Rashford, he's not quite calibrated with finishing. He's not quite got that finesse, because like there was one of them chances in the second half where he came in inside of that defender Dyer, and you're thinking, okay, finesse that shot, but he did hit one of them power knuckleballs for some reason. Like Rashford's too instinctive sometimes. He doesn't, just settle down and just go, let me just help that ball in. So I can see why Ronaldo is angry, but you don't do what he did when the team's winning. You've got to stay there as a mature player. Give the handshakes to players that were doing well at the end. Look good as an ambassador. That's what you should be at his mature age. So really disappointed with what he did at the end there.
I mean, does anyone have any other thoughts about the game before we go into what is the big topic?
Anthony loves Jogo Bonito. That's all I'm going to say.
I want to see more dribbling as well, though, because when he did he dropped the shoulder, took on 2 players on the right wing in, I think it was the first half, and I was like, I actually almost had an orgasm. I'm being real, because we've not seen enough United wingers dribbling. I've been starved, so just to see that, I was like, I was off my chair, man, just like celebrating, even though we didn't score from the move. So I'm hoping Anthony can keep going with some of this Jogo Bonito stuff, man. I'm starved of it, man.
Smash says, dude, Ronaldo has them trees with Charlie. He's 37. He's not going to play every game. I mean, to be fair, he's not been playing any game really. So, but I mean, let's get into it. Let's talk about Ronaldo now. I'm going to just quickly share. Where is it? I think this is from Fabrizio Romano. Let me do this. Here we go. I think it was posted 50 minutes ago. So this is from. Can everyone see that?
Not yet. It's loading. Okay. There we go.
Yeah.
Is it now? Right. Okay. So this is coming from his Instagram, shared by Fabrizio. It says, As I've always done throughout my career, I try to live and play respectfully towards my colleagues, my adversaries, and my coaches. That hasn't changed. I haven't changed. I'm the same person and the same professional that I've been for the last 20 years playing elite football, and respect has always played a very important role in my decision-making process. I started very young. The older and most experienced players' examples are always very important to me. Therefore, later on, I've always tried to get myself to the youngsters that grew in all the teams that I represent. Unfortunately, that's not always possible, and sometimes the heat of the moment gets to the best of us. Right now, I just feel that I have to keep working hard in character, support my teammates, and be ready for everything in any given game. Giving in to the pressure is not an option. It never was. This is Manchester United, and United must stand. Soon we'll be together again. Interesting.
After the game, you released that after the game, was it?
No, this is just
15
now.
minutes ago.
This is literally just 15 minutes ago. So
Right.
that's very interesting. So I mean, I take from that like that it was just basically it was frustration, it was heat in the moment. What's coming out is that apparently the story is that Ten Hag wanted to sub him on in the last, I presume it must have been like the last 80, like maybe last 5-10 minutes of the game or whatever. Ronaldo refused. And then obviously before the game left, he went down the pitch. Now I can only say that was probably just frustration. I don't know why he did that. It's quite possible that maybe Ten Hag, like the whole thing that's confusing me about this whole thing is that it's not like Ten Hag has treated Ronaldo any differently in previous games. So what I don't quite understand is why was it this game that he chose to act in this manner? I almost feel like there's something that's missing. And obviously we know that Ten Hag has suspended him. He's not going to be playing against Chelsea, which I agree with, because obviously he has to discipline the player. I do think it makes us somewhat weaker, obviously, because then we don't really have any... Martial's still injured, Ronaldo's still injured. So unless he's going to play Garnacho, we don't really have a lot of forward options or goal scoring options, especially if one of Rashford gets injured.
Can I just say real quickly?
Yeah, go on.
Sorry, yeah.
Go on.
You were saying there may be some extra, anger because of he wasn't playing for this game. I think Ronaldo's got to be in the mind of, I've scored against Tottenham. I've victimized them in the past. Why has he not respected me to use me in this game when clearly it's the same Conte team? Yeah. So you think he's thinking, yeah, this is going to be my game in the bag to get that, maybe even another hat trick. I think he was so focused on just doing what he did again from the past in this game. And come on, I mean, Ronaldo's a legend, so yeah, that's going to hurt him. But still, he's talking about learning from like experienced players, all of this in there, and he's not showing maturity. I mean, you can't forget that he's still on charges from breaking the kid's phone last season. This guy, he's not showing the maturity that he should be showing. It has to be said. I
mean, I assume this is coming from Ronaldo's PR as opposed to like Ronaldo himself. That's why I always be on Instagram and do posts. So, if you have those memes, please send me them, because I mean the fact that
RDS,
anyway,
I retweeted one of the videos. Oh my god, it was hilarious. You gotta check it out, RDS.
I'm gonna have a look at it, man. I guess this I'm not. It's just
they put Liz Truss on the back of Ronaldo's jersey.
I need to see this later. I'm not seeing it either.
I need to see it. I'll send
it to you already.
Big up my fellow DJ. Shout out to Football United. Make sure you check out his channel, man. Is doing really it's doing well, so please support him, buddy. As also support Mike and Eddie's football channel as well. I'll make sure they'll plug it out during the stream. Shout out to Sebastian as well. Samasi says dude didn't even say sorry. He didn't apologize. That is true. He's going to play the under-21s. Well, it is interesting because I mean, okay, first and foremost, I think everyone on the panel here can agree that Ronaldo was wrong in what he did. Is that the general consensus here?
No, 100%, yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay. So there's no issue with people saying, "Oh, he had the fine." I would be curious to know whether there was any context to this from Ronaldo's point of view. whether maybe Ten Hag had said something in beforehand, like, I'm going to play you here, I'm going to do that. Some football across, I've got no idea. But I would be curious to know, to actually hear from an aspect as to why specifically he chose this game to do this instead of like previous games. The second thing that I think someone brought up was actually the fact that if people actually remember, Ronaldo said that he was going to release or do an interview. This was like, I think, around the transfer window closing for the first week, and it was going to be like a tell-all interview, which I assume was based on him getting a move from Manchester United. Now, that didn't actually happen. So part of me does wonder, because I still don't quite understand why the Glazers and the club and the board are keeping Ronaldo at Manchester United. People say that he didn't get any offers. I think Ronaldo did get options. I just think that people didn't want to pay a transfer fee for him, which makes sense.
That's
why do you want to pay? Why do you want to pay? Well, no, I think they could potentially pay his wages, but it's like, you're not going to pay a transfer fee for a 37-year-old, and maybe you can so give him one
but
a free.
The transfer fee would be like what, 10 million, 5 million?
Yeah, on top of paying his wages, what I'm saying.
I mean, the wages is the big thing. He's on 500,000 a week.
He is on 500,000 a week. Yeah. So I don't know. I would be very surprised if well, okay, aside from the Saudi Arabian teams or MLS teams, if you could find many teams in Europe that would one, pay a salary, and two, he'd have to negotiate like a wage cut. What was he getting at Juve? Was he getting that as well?
No, I think he was getting more. I'm pretty sure. I'm not 100% sure, but I think he was getting more.
Okay.
But I'll check.
I wouldn't put it past Man United just matching that wage.
It's just dumb.
The Glazers, I mean, they're just overpaid for Anthony, 185 mil, and Casemiro 70 mil. So come on, I reckon the Glazers were like, just putting the money down for him.
Well, it was a panic buy at the end of the day, because it was because it was, Ronaldo looks like he might go to Manchester City, because City obviously were looking for a striker, Kane, Andre, etc. We want to save face, so let's go and buy Ronaldo and let's bring it back to Manchester United. The problem was that obviously disrupted things in the dressing room. It's obvious that him and Maguire had a falling out in terms of the authority between the players, which may or may not be a good thing. It may have actually disrupted what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was gonna do. Come up to this next season. I think it probably did. Although I still don't think it excuses the football that they played. And we're now in a situation where you have Ten Hag as a manager who doesn't take any BS, and he's like, listen, if you're not going to play for me, if you're not playing well, I'm going to drop you. I would say the same thing about Maguire. I mean, Maguire's been out injured for a while. Does anyone really think that Ten Hag is ready to bring Maguire back into the fold? I don't think so. I think at this point, I think
hopefully that, because like Maguire can't do high press, man. Like we'll just suffer counter attacks. I don't want to see him back.
I think at this point, Maguire was the fourth choice centre back. He is fourth choice centre back. Lindelof will be ahead of him, and obviously Varane and Martinez. So unless maybe a thrown at the Europa League. So the point I guess I'm trying to make is that Ten Hag is the manager of Manchester United and can basically and should be given the authority to do what he wants to play, the players he wants to play. The only thing that annoys me is that it's clear that Ronaldo wants to go. It's clear that Ten Hag doesn't want to play Ronaldo. So just part ways, just release him from his contract and be done with it. And if you release him from his contract, we can at least have some of his wages, because it was only a 2-year deal. So his contract expires at the end of the season. Release him, and you can save some of those wages. And potentially use those high wages, as Michael was saying, to actually buy a striker in January. Like Gakpo, for example. That makes more sense to me than keeping him here till the end of the season. For what purpose? Yeah. That's why I don't understand. People's thoughts on that.
Can I just say, I would say, a big part of this situation was created by Cristiano, because he missed pre-season. He missed that point where you're supposed to have all your players together so they can calibrate and understand the manager's style, get the match fitness. That was a big thing too. Ronaldo missing pre-season, you're missing getting your fitness to the optimum point. So he was always gonna miss or not be picked for certain games. When Martial was on fire, I mean, Michael will remember when we took the Bangkok Cup from them 4-0. You remember that? So Ronaldo wasn't there in the plans.
Oh, Eddie, your first trophy in 6 years.
Hey, stop hating! Stop hating.
No, it's fact. It's not hating. It's called facts.
Well, look at us on the table now. Yeah, we're still like, you know, we're doing some good stuff now,
we'll both be playing in the Europa League, so it's all good.
Oh no!
But are you guys fifth?
We're
Right?
going for Champions League, bro. Yeah.
Are you guys fifth or fourth?
We're fifth right now. We're fifth right now.
So we'll both be experiencing NH3 together. So that's good.
Hey, we're on the yeah. You guys are barely beating West Ham, yeah, barely, and we're smashing Spurs at home. Look at the trajectories. Man United is going up there. We're just beating you again in the Premier League too. Michael, these are some big shots against your team, bro. Yeah, we're on the up. You guys are struggling.
Eddie, I understand.
Yeah.
Look, I can't come with much chest here, but all I can say is
I hear it in your voice though, Mike. I hear
What?
it in your voice, Mike. I hear there's a little bit of, because you sound different to what happened when you guys drew against Brighton with that 3-3. You know, so I know lost against Arsenal. So you sound a little bit. I don't know whether you've recovered from a cold or illness or something.
well that too.
So, like,
you know,
yeah.
I think I had COVID. I'm not too sure, to be honest, but.
Is that what Liverpool did to you?
I think so. especially after the Arsenal game, I think I got COVID after that. That was horrible.
You have to respect Mike, because he was one of the few Liverpool fans that actually showed up and was actually present and was actually around. There's certain Liverpool fans that happened to not be around during the Arsenal game. They just kind of hid their face and stuff, but it is what it is, you know. So, but I mean, I asked this to you guys, and so let me just. So Curtis says, what club should Ronaldo join next?
Sporting. That's the only option. I don't understand what's his problem. Go to Sporting.
Well, what kind of wage cut would you have to play there? Like, take 400,000.
He can get 150,000. He has all these endorsements and all these business. He's got an underwear brand. He's got hotels. He makes enough money. So, like, just play for your club, bro. Like, it's the club that he started at. End it there. It's all good. It doesn't really matter anymore. You've done everything in club football.
You see, this is like rational thinking, but we've got to think from a legend's perspective. That ego will still be thinking,
Eddie.
Okay,
what Champions League team is going to take him?
I don't know.
Do you think Juventus would re-sign him?
No, they can't. They're broke.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're on a downward.
They can't even sack Allegri or DS.
That's true. Who could? Napoli?
No, because they're doing very well without him. Why would they?
No Serie A team. So no La Liga team. I don't think Atletico would take him at his age.
Definitely not Bundesliga.
Yeah, what was it Oliver Kahn was saying?
Yeah, the only shameless club that would do it would be PSG.
Yeah,
but then he would be sitting on the bench there too. So what difference does it make?
Yeah,
I was going to say, especially if Mbappe wanted to go. Like, I heard that some speculation he wanted to go in January, which I think is not true. But if he did want to go,
my only thing is, if the rumors are true that a certain American London Blues owner really wanted Cristiano Ronaldo, and that was why there was a falling out of Thomas Tuchel, whether he would still, in order to increase the brand of Chelsea Football Club in the States, whether he would go for Ronaldo in January. That's he shouldn't, but if it's rumored to be true that was one of the reasons that led to the fallout between him and Thomas Tuchel getting sacked, and you're saying he's available in January, is it possible that Todd B goes, I want to sign him?
I wouldn't rule that out. I mean, we're hearing things about he wants to change them to London Cowboys. Yeah, that would be a cowboy move to go.
It would be
this guy in January. It would be, wouldn't it?
West London Cowboys.
I know a lot of Chelsea fans would be very, very unhappy if that happens. I don't know who they are, but I know certain people would be very, 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 very unhappy if Ronaldo was at Chelsea. But that, to be honest, legit, that is literally the only club that I can think of that may go for it from just a PR point of view. And also because, to be fair, Chelsea I don't know. I mean, they probably do need another striker.
Yeah, who have they got? Is it Aubameyang and
Broja.
Ambrosia.
Broja? Yeah, Broja is still like, trying to improve. He's not quite there yet. So you could see it happening where they're just like loan out Broja again to like maybe Southampton, and then go and get Ronaldo. They could probably make it work out. With these kind of American owners that don't really get football.
Hey, wait, sorry,
David,
David, relax, man. We'll swap FC shirts Cristiano for our Cristiano, man. Oh man, is he fallen down that badly that we're now?
But hold on, is that the Cristiano that helped Sheriff beat Real Madrid?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly that one. Yes, exactly exactly right, Eddie. Exactly right, man.
Oh God,
that is man. It's a sad that it's actually ending this way. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, what I will say, Frankfurt, okay, possibly, yeah. Not they can afford his wages. But I like trying not to be banned, and on the one hand, like I can still, much like with Ollie, much like with other players that have left United in the past, still acknowledge what they did for Manchester United Football Club in terms of bringing a lot of my greatest moments and achieving that, whilst at the same time realizing that you need more, at least in my opinion, to be considered a legend of the club. And so for those who are saying, oh my goodness, he's being disrespected, blah, 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 he's a legend, he's a legend. I think they're wrong. But also for those who are like, completely saying this guy, is a fraud and should be kicked out or whatever. I think those people are wrong. So I think there's a balance to be had, where you can see from both sides. I think the best thing, in my opinion, is that he should just be released from his contract.
Yeah.
In January. If that means he ends up going to Chelsea Football Club, then so be it. And we can then use that to, and I think as a general rule, this should be for most players. I mean, Wan-Bissaka, for example, and Donny van der Beek, should be, we're not using them. They're effectively out of the squad. Ten Hag doesn't want them. They should be sold at this point. We have no need for them at this point.
You see, this is where I've just got to say real quickly, because it's still a crime that Ralph Ragnick is not here to be helping the structure, because a lot of these problems that we're talking about in terms of players leaving, it would be like that consultant of Ralph Ragnick that would show the possible replacements. He would go into a scouting network. He would be making different calls. You know what I mean? Doing all that kind of advising and consulting, not leaving up to like I've even forgot the names. Who's the director of football again? Richard Arnold is the CEO. And John
Mercer, yeah.
These guys were going to get 2 years consultancy, and then all of a sudden, now they don't need that. They get an understudy, and I forgot who that guy was that came in. They hired like someone that was supposed to come in and help them, isn't it? Not teach them, but come and like be an understudy, which is weird. How do you go from needing consultancy to, okay, now we'll just give you guys an understudy? This mess was always going to happen with transfers when you're doing that.
RDS, wait. I just have to make one statement. You know how it says on this Instagram post that, therefore, later on, I've always tried to set example for myself for the youngsters. Well, if that's the sort of example that you're going to show as a professional, I wouldn't be showing that to my kids. I don't have kids, but I wouldn't be showing that whatsoever. Slapping phones, walking off the pitch at 89th minute.
Yeah.
Is that a professional? I don't think so.
Not a good professional.
No, definitely ain't a professional. That's what you see like in the park when you're playing inside the cage. That's the sort of attitude you see. You don't see that in any professional club. So I think he's definitely gotten that one wrong in that statement. I don't know if it. Obviously, I don't think he's written that.
No, of course he didn't write.
It's definitely PR. It's definitely PR. So that's all I gotta say. I mean, look, if I'm gonna be honest, Ronaldo's destroying his legacy. Not like his entire legacy, but people always remember him for his greatness at United, for his greatness at Real Madrid. But then when they think about the end of his career, it ain't looking good. Like, people will just remember all these bad... Obviously, he did well with United last season, even though you guys were very poor. But, like, you just cannot be doing these sort of things. You just can't. No. Like... You don't see Messi doing this. Like, if we're gonna compare the two, Messi's not doing this. He's focused on his job, and obviously they have two different sort of personalities and two different egos. Even though I think Messi has a big ego, he doesn't show it as much as Ronaldo. Ronaldo likes to be very flamboyant with it. So, yeah, I don't know, man. This is so bad. If I was a United fan, I'd be pissed. I'm not gonna lie with you guys. I'd be pissed.
It's weird, people. It's weird. It's weird. I don't. It's weird because I don't actually even feel like that bad because I kind of know. Like I already knew that he was unhappy, and also like I don't see Ronaldo as ironic, even though it might not come across that way. I don't see Ronaldo as big of a legend as I think a lot of United fans do.
Really?
I think he's
You
one of
don't
our
see him as a
greatest players.
legend?
No, of course not, because I mean maybe it's the older person. Maybe it's
He won a
because the
Champions League with you guys. He won a treble. Did he? No, sorry,
no,
not a
he
treble.
didn't win a treble. No,
But he won the double.
No, but that's what I'm saying. So I see that there's certain other players. I'm not saying there's certain other players that I would see as higher in status, even historically, like George Best. Like,
so you're just talking for
like
Man United,
Charlton.
you're not
Yeah,
other
for Man
clubs.
United. Yeah,
Okay.
for Man United. Like even recency, like Scholes, Giggs, Keane, etc.
Okay, but the Scholes and Gigs, they were there forever. I mean, they just basically.
So that's the
Go
point
ahead.
I'm trying to make is that for me a legend is someone, and maybe it's because I feel like the word legend is overused these days. But for me, a legend
true.
is someone that has committed for the majority of their playing career to your club and achieved big things. Ronaldo had a couple of really good seasons with us, but a lot of his career was at Real Madrid.
Yeah.
So to say that a player is a legend for your club when he spent most of his career, or at least a good over half of it, at another club, doesn't make sense to me. You can still acknowledge him as one of your greatest players that you've made and you produced, etc., which I do, your most talented, etc. But to say that the player is a legend, it's like, well, then what did Sir Bobby Charlton do? You know, after like he, won the World Cup with England, won the Ballon d'Or, won the Champions League, and by the sheer grace of God, survived the Munich air disaster to go on and still play. So that for me is a legend. So
don't you think you can have levels though, RDS? Can't you just say, okay, Ronaldo's a legend, but then Bobby Charlton more of a legend, George Best more of a legend? Because I would say what Cristiano has won in those years is phenomenal. The goal tally is phenomenal. The contribution is
of course,
level in my opinion.
But there were other players like Rooney, like Scholes, like Giggs that were also part of that stayed at the club longer to achieve great things. Like, for example, Tevez was part of that. But I wouldn't call Tevez a legend, for example, even though he won those things.
Yeah, but Cristiano had a bigger impact on the squad than Tevez ever did.
Yeah. Oh no, I don't doubt that. I'm just saying if the reasoning is based on what they won, I'm just saying that there are players that won things at Manchester United that I also wouldn't consider legends, even though they won things that other players didn't do. I just think that, and this is only my personal opinion, that if you're going to say a player is a legend of a club, they have to spend at least a significant amount of their playing career at that club, as opposed to, Real Madrid, which is the case of Cristiano Ronaldo, in my personal opinion. But
can you bring up David T's comment?
Oh, right. Let me quickly read. Of course, Cristiano Ronaldo be upset not being played. He needs minutes to World Cup. This should have been sorted. That is true. He does need that. Who replaces Ronaldo when he leaves? Kurigos, I'm going to star that. We're going to come back to that. Ronaldo has a lot of yes-says around him. That's true. David T says, until he leaves this team, his name is...
That should have been.
Oh, dear.
Wait, so basically he's a clown. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, that's basically the gist of it. That's basically his name is.
He's comparing Ronaldo to a McDonald's clown. That's what we're hearing.
What Ronald? Hi, shout out 74, man. What Cristiano's one of the best players in Manchester United's history, if not the best. One of a club. I'm not saying but I didn't say that he wasn't one of the best players. I never said he wasn't one of the best players that was produced. What I'm saying is that when you use the term legend to describe a player, that player has to play a significant amount of their playing career at the club that they're representing. Like that for me is a basis, and then of course achieve the winning trophies and accolades, etc. on top of that. So it's not just that.
I think the impact he had during those seasons was good enough because he was just the best player. during his time. I would say, like I said before, you can have different degrees of legends. I just think you can have that. I just don't see how you can not say he's a legend for Man United, because he's come back as well, and he's had, you know, that last season. I would say that was legendary for his age to be getting that amount of goals as well. So I would still say he's a legend. It's just other people have done more. They're like you said with Bobby Charlton.
But then that's what I'm saying. But then that's what I'm saying. So we'll be like, I think for me personally, it's because people use the word legend a lot, and a very like. So for example, you know, I can ask Liverpool fans saying Steven Gerrard is a legend. How Chelsea fans can say that John Terry, Frank Lampard, etc. legend. How Drogba is a legend. I get that, because those players won significant things at their respective clubs and spent the majority of their playing career at their clubs.
But you said Drogba, though. I mean, if we just look at it in terms of time spent, wasn't that much compared to Ronaldo. I mean, maybe
I thought Drogba spent the majority of his playing career at Chelsea, didn't he?
Was it more years than Ronaldo, though?
I'm fairly sure it was more years.
Let me say that then. Let me say this then. Did he have more impactful years? Like, Ronaldo had more impact during his years.
The thing is,
I would say that.
The thing is, it's contextual, because, like, for Chelsea fans, they'll go, "This is the dude who helped us win our first Champions League before we did." So, from Chelsea fans, they'll think, "Of course, he's a legend, because he got us that goal in the CL final. He scored the winning penalty. He won us the first Champions League that we were craving for so long." From our perspective, obviously, from United, because we won Champions League, because we won tons of trophies, just doing that isn't necessarily enough. But from a Chelsea fan's point of view, they would probably say he was
there 9 seasons, by the way.
9, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's 9 seasons is a lot. Yeah.
All right, that's a lot of seasons. But I'd say Ronaldo helped Man United to be relevant again in the Champions League when they weren't for quite a bit of time. You've got to say that. Like, when we won it with Ronaldo, when he won it the first time at Man United, we weren't really winning anything in the Champions League before that. So I would say the impact of taking us up to like that level as well, being Champions League and league contenders, I would still say legendary.
Didn't he score in the final against Chelsea? The header.
No, he scored final. Yeah.
But then, he missed the pen, but still, he helped us to win.
A few more comments. I'm going to come back to Kuski's comment actually. Shout out to Sebastian in the chat. Palace said 3 titles on the bounce, European Cup bundle. I get that he left, but came back and third top scorer in the league in an awful team at 37.
Yeah. I hear what Paredes is saying.
I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that. I'm just saying that, like, in the history of Manchester United Football Club, that there are players that have done that and more. So for me, as I said, legend for me is reserved for the absolute best, the best that have achieved a lot at Manchester United trophy-wise and played the majority of their career at the club.
So what are you calling Ronaldo then? What's his classification? If it's not legends, what's the next? We've got to give him a tag.
You can say, let's say one of the greatest players the United have produced.
Isn't that like a synonym for legends?
Okay, you can use best players then. Best or greatest, whatever one is
legend in there.
So,
Let's be tiers. Red Devil. A tier, B tier. Maybe Ronaldo's
A tier, B tier.
Well, you still got to have legend in his name.
Well, maybe that's the thing. Maybe that's a show actually, like ranking United legends.
Yes.
Like maybe we'll do that. Sorry, Mike, you're gonna say something.
Yeah, because I gotta go. I'll just make one last comment. Why can't Ronaldo look at like Zlatan, for example? Somebody made a good comment. I think it was IQ Insane. He brought up Zlatan. I was actually just going to bring that up. Look how Zlatan is ending his career, right?
Yeah.
He goes to MLS. People can clown him. People can call it retirement league, which is it is.
Yeah.
But he was doing well there. Went back to Milan, scored, kept scoring, and became a leader. Yes, he's arrogant as well, Zlatan, but he's using his arrogance, and now he's showing his leadership to the whole squad. And with that squad, he helped bring Milan back to Scudetto glory. Why can't Ronaldo look at that sort of leadership and take that himself? Or is it just his arrogance is just too big where it always has to be about him? It's always about Ronaldo first. Like, I get it, Ronaldo. Like, he has been the number one on the team sheet since he's 6 years old. But now, he's not. So that's going to be the problem that Ronaldo has to face. Like, there is going to come a day where you can't run anymore. Like, your legs will give out. And it's looking like it right now. Like sometimes he can't even sprint past anybody. He probably couldn't even win against Maguire sometimes in a foot race nowadays because he's losing. No, because he's losing his pace, and it's evident at times. But I just don't understand why he can't use kind of Zlatan's approach to ending his career, where, like, obviously, you know, he wants to still be the greatest, but like.
Can I just say on the back, because that was a good example you brought up, yeah, and I just think that Ronaldo has just completely, he's just not looking at that kind of overall picture that you're talking about in terms of setting the
Oh yeah, he thinks he's still the best in the world.
He's looking at the fact that Man United, yeah, the team he went to in his second, his second, what do you call it? Second spell. That's it. In his second spell, there, Man United are not the same team. So he's looking at how bad the players have been. They've not really assisted them enough. You know, the whole situation is bad compared to AC Milan, who, they were on the up, weren't they?
Not really, Eddie. I mean, they went 11 years without a Scudetto, and they were finishing 5th and 4th. So,
as bad as Man United, though, Man United were really.
Yeah, but when Ronaldo joined, you guys were second. And you guys spent good money. You guys got good transfers in. Obviously, you know, it wasn't all Ronaldo's fault. It was clearly just management and Ole being a PE teacher. But Zlatan actually helped in a way, not just based on him, but also just his leadership, bringing Milan back to glory.
I was going to say as well, it looked like it was suited to the football that AC Milan were playing.
Oh yeah, of course.
Not having to run as much, innit? Like, just, you know.
Yeah, I mean, the Serie A is a in quote slower league when players like Lukaku, Tammy Abraham, a lot of forwards are balling that they didn't ball. That's why I didn't quite understand why he left Serie A in the first place, because that's the last league where like losing your pace is a thing, you know. So
that's my main point that I was trying to make, is that I think because Ronaldo's picked the wrong situation. It's just completely backfired, where it's just scrambled his brain, and he's not been able to set any example.
This is why I will say again, he should have went to Sporting this summer. He should have. It doesn't matter how much you're going to get paid. Just end your career as a legend there as well. Like, it's not that, like, Sporting have a good team. They have a great manager.
Yeah, exactly.
Ruben Amorim, he's a great manager, but
exactly.
I don't think he wanted to do it, to be honest. I don't think they were in the Champions League. Didn't they just beat Spurs? So I don't really understand. I don't really understand it. But I gotta head out, RDS.
Okay, thanks for coming on, Mike. Man, take care, man.
Take care, guys.
Thanks, Mike. Make sure you subscribe to Mike's channel, by the way. Make sure you subscribe to Mike's channel. Mike Talks Football, man. We post a lot of good content, and especially the World Cup coming on. So if you're new, make sure you head over and subscribe to Mike's channel. Let me just quickly read some comments, guys. Sebastian says he should go to the MLS. Adams was, anyway, you're happy with Ronaldo's return to United? I'm not. Paradise, Ronaldo is 100% Manchester United legend, but do you have to spend a majority of your career to be considered a legend? In my opinion, yes. Cristiano Ronaldo was here. Well, at least a sizable amount of your playing career at it. 4 years, you know. So Cristiano was here for multiple seasons and made an impact. He was here for what? Was it 5 or 6 seasons? Was it?
I think it was. Oh, it's 5 or 6. I can't.
5 remember. Or 6 seasons, yeah. But he spent like 10, like 10 plus or so at Madrid. Yeah. So I don't know, but that's only my personal opinion. So because I think that I think it'd be a different story if we didn't have players that had done both. So, for example, like Chelsea, like Drogba's and a few others, where like that haven't. But I think when you have no players that have not only spent their playing career but also they won the big trophies, that's another level. And then in your mind, my mind, you're saying that player is on the same level as that player. Like, I don't think so. Like, the player that's won the Champions League, won the treble, and spent their playing career United is above the player that's just won the same thing but spent a lesser time. You know, so you have to separate the two at some point. So IQ Insane says, this apology is PR crap. Why doesn't he look at Zlatan with Milan? He never complained Sporting's teammates for the bench, as we discussed, and that's a good point. Do you think you can be a legend in more than one club, or is it only one club?
It comes back to what I was saying. Can I just say, like, just repeat? you can be more of a legend at another club and still be like maybe less of a legend at another one. It just comes down to what you're saying about the longevity. Looking at what Paredes was saying about the impact. I mean, I'm trying to remember what he won. I mean, just when we did our show about the legends of United.
Obviously, it's
what was the show that we did where we were rating players? Was it top five?
Top number sevens. Top number sevens.
That was it.
Yeah.
And yeah, we were listening to what he won there. Yeah, you said he was Ballon d'Or winner. All of this, the leagues he was winning, all of that impact. I just think it bridges the gap between longevity and not having enough games at the club. I just think the impact. I rate it as legendary.
Fair enough. I respect everyone's opinion. I just personally disagree to speak. So and I think that because a lot of fans aren't aware of certain aspects of the history of Manchester United, not you specifically, Eddie, but like the George Best, the Bobby Charltons, etc. Even Scholes potentially, and Keane and various others. Like, I just think that I can understand it from like a recency point of view, because like he was the star of United during almost the mid to Premier League era, and with what he achieved. But it is what it is, I guess. So Hajingu says he's not accepting that he's getting old. Well, he should. That's a big problem. I love Cristiano, always defend him, but you can't refuse to come on. That's unacceptable. Disappointing seeing that from and this is the other thing as well, is that when you're now adding unprofessionalism, because people forget, that he forced the move to leave United the first time. Yeah. He did. So Alex didn't want him to go. So you're saying that this guy's a legend. He's a legend, but he forced the move to leave the first time to Real Madrid. And now, when he's come back at 37, he's now doing this. Like, and then you're saying that I should put him in the same category as George Best, as Bobby Charlton, as Scholes and stuff like that. Like, come on, guys. I'm not saying he's not up the level, but like you got to look at things like professionalism, achievement, or something like that. Ronaldo, unfortunately, as a player, I love him, but the thing is, because people often, I go on HH, I go on all these channels, and I banter people about Messi, etc., and stuff like that. I do. But on this channel, you get my honest. Well, I'm not honest, but I mean, I try and be a bit more objective on this channel. And the reality is that, objectively speaking, it is very difficult for me to say that someone. It's the same reason why I tell people about Maguire. How, as far as I'm concerned, Maguire is no longer part of Manchester United ever since he threw the captain's armband on the floor when he got sent off and effectively got his coach sacked. Whatever you think about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he was going to get sacked anyway. The nature of your manager literally has his last, he's on his last legs, and as his captain, you let him down in his dying moments, and you react in that way. I was like, for me, that was unforgivable. And I'm happy he's now fourth choice, because he made his bed. He's now lying in it. So likewise, with that same heat, I give the same heat to Ronaldo, in the sense that you can't come back. I get this in quote apology or statement that you sort of have, but the fact is that you've not demonstrated any of this since you come to Manchester United Football Club.
You know what, you're making a great point, because the petulance that what I mean, it's just like a little bit of salt on top of all of this great stuff he's done on the pitch. That attitude problem is bad. And like what you were saying, when you forced the move the first time, I was very disappointed in Ronaldo. I thought this was questionable as to whether he was really loving the club as much as it was as much as was what was let on. It's weird, because you go back to what Paredes was saying in terms of the things that he won at the club, but then it's mixed with his love for Madrid. It was higher, wasn't it? He gave them 10 years, as you said. And he always said that was his dream, wasn't it, to really play for Madrid. I'm just trying to remember if he said if it was really his dream to play at Man United. I mean, we helped him, give him a platform for him to grow into a great player. But I don't know. What you said is very damning you know, RDS, you know, you
You
can't
gotta
kind of
keep it. You gotta.
make
Sorry.
me switch on the legend thing a little bit, you know.
You gotta keep it real, man. Because, like I said, like when I say legend, I have high expectations of players. It's not just the fact that they won stuff or they had a few good seasons. You know, so if you're if you're you know, the longevity is one thing. Okay, well we can disagree. We can disagree with that, but unprofessionalism, twice you could say, in the fact that he forced, it's difficult for me to say someone is a legend when they forced a move, because he did. He forced a move out of Manchester United the first time. The rumors were even that he would have considered going to Manchester City had they
I
gone
really
had they
don't want
gone
to
for
believe
him.
that, you know. I really,
You
I
know,
think
he
that's
could,
hype, you know.
but I don't
Even
know. I
in
don't know.
Ronaldo's defense, Pep wouldn't really like a Ronaldo player in terms of
I
his work
agree,
rate up
but
front as well.
I am curious where he would have gone. Like where he would have gone had Manchester United not bid for him, because it wasn't like Manchester United were in talks with him at Juventus and trying to convince him to come. He just became available, and it was like, right, to save face, we'll go and get him, because we don't. It would be a bad look for him to go to Manchester City or any other club with him being available. And to be fair, I'll hold my hands up as a United fan. Of course, I wanted him back. I wanted him back because of the stuff that people were saying, But you could even make an argument that the way that he left Juventus was unprofessional. He had a
Yeah,
contract to Juventus, and I don't know whether he forced the move there or he decided not to play or whatever it is. It was unprofessional there as well. You know,
yeah. I think, you know, I mean, with him coming back the first time, not the first time, second time, I thought he was too old, to be honest, because I mean, everyone that was watching world football could see what he was doing at Juventus. He was, I mean, it was when he started at Real Madrid, where he just became just in the box predator, and he wasn't really doing much for like a
he should have.
system in
He,
terms
he
of
should.
high pressing and all of
He
that
should have
kind of
come
stuff.
straight back after. I think what should have happened is that he should have come back to Manchester after he left Real Madrid. Then that would have been. Then he could have had potentially a couple of good seasons in United, and then
But who was managing? Because we were playing counter-attack football for quite a bit of time, like under
no. So it was
Jose.
he was at Juventus for 3 seasons, wasn't he? So it would have been Jose. It would have been
Yeah,
Jose. I think it would have
I
been
mean, he's
Jose
played under
Mourinho.
Jose before Real Madrid, right?
I mean,
And that's got goals under him. But I
and
don't know. It
Jose.
just feels like he wouldn't have come in and done well. And just, I don't know, because Jose didn't last longer. I mean, he didn't last longer at Real Madrid either. But I don't know. With him getting
Mm,
older, I just don't think he
mm,
would have worked still, even under
mm.
Jose at Man United. I don't think so.
Um, Paradise says, I understand unprofessional counts your legendary status, but you can say that for previous players with a lot of off the field. No, see, that's so I get that, but the thing is that for me, I'm talking about professionalism as it relates to Manchester United. I agree that there are players that have done shoddy things off the field and done. I completely agree with that. But for me, it's more in regards to your professionalism towards your employer, and in this case, the employer is Manchester United. So how did he act regarding Manchester United Football Club towards the end of his first stint and now? Because ultimately, whatever you say about what those players did outside, they didn't disrespect the football club, and by extension, they didn't disrespect the fans. When you act this way, you're disrespecting the football club, even though I think the Glazers are the biggest act of disrespect to the football club. And I still blame this whole entire situation on the Glazers, because if you knew that Ten Hag wasn't going to start Ronaldo, if you knew that Ronaldo wants to leave, you should have come to an agreement and said, listen, this guy's got to go. But because you wanted PR from this guy, and also I suspect because you're concerned that if Ronaldo leaves and speaks, because I think that's what's going to happen, he'll leave the football club and then give an insider into what goes on at Manchester United. That's going to look very, very negative at the football club, and that's going to affect sponsorship at a time when Manchester United do not need any more negative publicity regarding shares and all the rest of it. because
Well, there's going to be a lot of people coming out and telling those true stories about what went on, because
of
there's certain
course,
people that have had to sign those contracts where you get like a gag order, don't you, where you can't talk for a certain amount of time. There's going to be a backlog of people coming out and telling about how insidious that Man United is. Because the Glazers, they pit people against each other. I mean, remember how Ten Hag came in? Did he even get to talk to Ralph face to face there? There was no changing over of the power to be in control. Remember when Ralph was asked about, have you talked to Ten Hag when he came to watch? And then Ralph didn't even know he was in the country. That to me told me what the Glazers were, or reinforce what they were. They don't have a fluid system where everyone is thinking on the same level, where everyone is acting on the same policy, which is where you get disgruntled players like Ronaldo, like Bailly before that, like Pogba. How many players do we have to see? There's more that have been disgruntled because, they either get forced to stay, extra contract year, just looking at the manager not getting backed for the right players. I mean, Ole was doing good for a bit, and then you got forced to have Ronaldo and Varane and Sancho, all these guys that didn't suit his system because he was playing counter-attack. And then he tried to play attack, and he couldn't do it because he's a counter-attacking coach. And this all comes from the hierarchy, doesn't it? They were buying the players. They have the final say. And they've just messed up a lot of things. And that comes back to our point of speaking on Ronaldo. He has been, I mean, he has petulance, but to a certain point, the Glazers have not, allowed him to go. They've not made the right system for him to thrive, So it is what it is, man. Glazers out, man. I've had enough. Had enough for these guys.
No, I agree. And Paz, we come to agreeing, but I agree also that not everybody can become a legend. It has to be exactly. That's essentially all I'm saying. That I just think that there's a specific criteria to what it means to be a legend at Manchester United Football Club, and I think that the triad of I'd say commitment to Manchester United Football Club, which includes longevity as well as what you've achieved as a player for Manchester United, trophies, impact, etc. I think all comes together, and I think that United just have a lot of players, some players that people don't know that have done that in bucket loads, and I think that should be remembered, regardless of how long they did it for or whatever, So just bearing that in mind, But I mean, let's let me quickly ask, because we'll round up here, Eddie. But I think I'll just bring back up Kirakato's question, actually, which I think would be good to actually just address before we round up. Who do you think replaces Ronaldo when he leaves, or I guess who would you want to replace Ronaldo when he leaves? Because he will leave.
I mean, I'm just thinking about the targets that Man United had. I keep hearing this Gakpo. Not seen enough of him. I heard he's fast, but I heard someone also compare him to Rashford. And come on, we don't need another Rashford. We need someone that has finesse in their finish. That's what, especially in a high press system, we need. Okay, you need some people that can press, but you do need someone that can calm down in front of goal, just put it in the side netting, not just blast it. I'm not sure about Gakpo. I heard about Osimhen, but that's not really feasible. If they've got Champions League football in Napoli, right, and the title race, we're still on the up. But I would want him, Osimhen. I mean, if Glazers has still got break the bank money, I'd be saying, yo, go and get Osimhen. I mean, I'm sure you've seen them play at RDS. The way he can hold up the ball, because Napoli, I've seen them play. Sometimes they leave Osimhen isolated, and he will fight for every ball. He's good at counter pressing too. I've seen him make tackles off of defenders and get the ball and get goals. And he can head the ball as well. He's just a big, strong Nigerian player that I want to see at Man United, man. I want to see some Nigerians put respect on the name.
Napoli. The only problem is that Napoli are a hard club to deal with. That's the thing, So, and especially Manchester United. I mean, they let Koulibaly go. So, but I mean, I think that they're not going to let him go for any less than maybe 120, 150 million. And I don't know whether United would. I mean, unless we can somehow do a Ronaldo Osimhen exchange somehow.
You know what? Yeah, I think we're going to get to a point where clubs will not be buying anymore. Because if we're just going to do this thing where it's subjective pricing on players, like remember Gordon being rated at like what was it, 100 million, something stupid for Everton. It's like this is dumb. So it's like maybe Ten Hag would look to the youth. You know, we could see a youth striker come through because come on, man, 120 million for Usher, man. Yeah, come on. Nowhere near that, man. The Glazers are not. I mean, the Glazers do panic and overspend sometimes, but I don't think they're gonna do it again so quickly. You know, so I don't know what the strikers. What were you thinking? I can't think of many right now.
I mean, I think I guess it's also availability as well, because you know, I think if Ten Hag is wanting a striker in January, then I think that Gakpo is probably the easiest one to do. I think just given where they are, like PSV in the Europa League, so it's not much difference, you know. So it'll be a step up regardless. So Gakpo is probably the easiest one to do if it means getting a quick option in January if Ronaldo kind of leaves. Because if Ronaldo leaves, we do need to get a striker, I would say, because what we're essentially doing, you know, whatever you say, Ronaldo, and my only reason why I was like we should keep Ronaldo is because Ronaldo is always fit. Ronaldo is always available. I know that's a low standard, but that's the reality. The reality is that we cannot rely on Anthony Martial anymore. Anthony Martial cannot stay fit for, I would even argue, a quarter of the season at this point. And in my opinion, we shouldn't renew his contract, and he should be released. Because I love him, he's talented, but it's getting a bit ridiculous now that we're like in approaching November now, and I think he's maybe only played like maybe 4 games, I think.
And it's really like frustrating because the impact he had when he came in those games, he got like what was it, 2 or 3 goals?
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly. That's what's wrong. I think if he's fit and is available, he starts ahead of Ronaldo and Rashford, etc. But we can't keep relying on someone who's barely available. Like, you know, that's like, I think that's one of the areas where I want us to kind of to go from United, where one of the reasons why I think United have been in such a slump is that we keep on renewing contracts of players that are unreliable, whether that's consistency or injuries. You know, City have players that are injured, but more often than not, their teams are able to. They have such a good depth of squad that even if one player's out injured, they've got a good enough squad cover because most of the players are consistent and fit. United have a situation where our squad depth is slowly getting better, but we have quite a few players that are inconsistent and some that are not fit or have struggles with injuries. You know, so if Ronaldo does leave in January, you know, we cannot rely on Anthony Martial. So you're essentially relying on Rashford, who also can potentially be injury prone as well because he has problems. And if Rashford gets injured, then what? Then who's United's front three? Are you going to play Bruno as a false 9? Please don't. Are you going to suddenly convert, I don't know, Anthony or Sancho to a 9 or something like that, like a false 9 or something, like and play like? No, you can't. We can't do that, you know. But it's feasible. It's feasible to me that, especially when the games come thick and fast, after and also with the World Cup going on, it's easily feasible that if Ronaldo leaves, that you could easily have a time where Rashford and Martial are injured at the same time. In fact, we had it already. We've had it already this season with Martial and Rashford being injured at the same time.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be a real big test for Ten Hag because he's an actual coach compared to like Ole and, you know, Jose. So it's going to be a real test to see, like what you're saying. Maybe you could turn Sancho into a number 10 or turn someone else into a forward because he has that coaching. You know, he has that system where he can give you instructions to do certain things. You know, he'll work with you. So I'm hoping he will work some of that magic. You know, I want to see some of this youth come through. I think you mentioned Garnacho earlier. It's like, I want to see some of this fresh blood. I want to see what Ralph was talking about in terms of getting in hungrier players. You know, we're supposed to be, if we're going to grow, you're supposed to be signing hungrier players that are going to be on their first or second contract. And we've got to stop this whole buying old players. I know we just got Casemiro, who's starting to look better, but that's got to stop or be balanced out
And
a bit.
also, Casemiro is a DM and it's just turned 30, so you could still get a good. You can DMs, especially if he stays fit, you can still get a good maybe 3-4 seasons out of Casemiro to 34. So I'm like you can still get him you can still have Casemiro for a good 3-4 seasons yet.
I'm hoping you're right, man, because we might get another Matic situation where you can see how good he is, but then the legs are just gone. Like that will be frustrating to see.
I mean, the only thing I'd say about it is that, like, and in fairness to Matic, is that, like, you know, we were playing with Maguire and Lindelof as well, you know, so we've transformed the entire back four, where now you've got Varane and you've got Martinez, and even Martinez and Lindelof aren't so bad. So so I think that helps. You know, you can maybe bring Fred in there, McTominay in there, that can obviously provide defensive. So I think that Matic was in a much more volatile situation because he wasn't getting help from Bruno or Pogba defensively at times. They were both often going forward, both doing their thing, and Matic was left often to basically do the defensive job. Whereas I think in this midfield system right now, like, if Casemiro plays with Fred and McTominay, that's not going to be the case. They often can come back. And even Eriksen comes back as well. So we don't, aside from Bruno, who will go off and do his thing, all the other midfielders are content in kind of holding it a bit, maybe doing a bit of a defensive job, etc., which likes of Pogba and Bruno weren't doing, you know. So, and then of course there's ball control as well. I think that Martinez runs ball control is and even Lindelof's is infinitely better than Lindelof. So it is what it is. Right. Last few comments actually before we go. Actually, what's it going again? Do you think? Last few comments before we leave. Do you think Cristiano Ronaldo will play again before Jan? Yes. If the statement is anything to go by, yes, he will.
I don't know, man. I'm not sure. I mean, go on, finish.
I think it's difficult because obviously the World Cup is happening, because there's only 2 more games before the break. We play Chelsea and then we play, who is it? Is it Southampton? No, we already played Southampton. I can't remember. Who do we play after Chelsea next week?
So in Chelsea, then Sheriff, then West Ham, then Real Sociedad.
West Ham?
Yeah, West Ham after Sheriff.
Yes. Okay, yeah. So the games, so Chelsea away, obviously, then Sheriff at home, then West Ham at home, then Sociedad away, then Villa away, then Villa in the EFL Cup 3rd round.
Yeah, maybe Ronaldo plays that one. That seems like a throwaway game.
Yeah, and then Fulham away. So to be honest, I'm looking at these games, right? United should actually win all these games. Well, okay, Chelsea, we don't know, but there's no reason why Manchester United shouldn't be beating Sheriff at home. West Ham have not been doing that great, and usually we tend to do well at West Ham. David Moyes, West Ham, so we should be beating West Ham at home. Real Sociedad will decide whether we top the group or not. So we have to win that game away somehow, and I hope Martial's fit for that. Villa are doing badly, and the only thing about Villa is that I'm not sure how long Steven Gerrard is going to last. I have a feeling that by the time we play them on the 6th of November, that he's going to be sacked, but we'll see. Villa in the EFL, enough said. And then Fulham away, again, probably United should probably win. So
I hear what you're saying on paper. It looks like we should beat these guys, especially with their situations that are going downhill.
Exactly.
The thing is, like, sometimes these teams, like, it's annoying, isn't it? Because sometimes they can be galvanized for the occasion. They can up the game. Like, if these guys want to fight for Gerrard, like, you know, like Villa want to keep him in the job, they could turn up. They could do it. You know, a lot of teams turn up for. A lot of the small teams can turn up for the big teams on occasion. So I don't know. And I'm worried about the small turnaround in games. Like, it's only like, what is it, 2 or 3 days in between.
Exactly. So Saturday and then Thursday and then Sunday and then Thursday and then so there is a lot. So, and this is where that's why when people say, where do you think Ronaldo's going to play, it's this reason, because I know for a fact that we're going to pick up injuries in this period. even though I think that like we should be winning these games, even when we come back from the World Cup, we're playing, I think, Nottingham Forest, Wolves, and Bournemouth, who I again think we should be winning these games. If United are back in quotes and are going to get top four, then for me, if we draw against Chelsea at the weekend, that's fine. And if we go on and go on a run and win these games by the end of the year, we'll be comfortably be top four, and I won't have any complaints because those are teams that we have to beat, we have to win. Because come January, United will play. I think, oh man, January is we've got City at Old Trafford, Arsenal away, and then Palace and then Leeds, which is slightly harder, So.
You know what? Yeah, I just gotta say, I hope that we see a balance of trying to get results and then trying to get this team to improve their IQ with Ten Hag's football, with the possession football. We've seen it for the last couple of games now. Newcastle and Spurs have been suffocated, especially in the second halves. Obviously, going to Chelsea, you have to respect them a bit. I'm hoping we see not just like, because I'm thinking we might respect them too much and go counter-attack. I'm hoping maybe we just do like maybe medium block and then do a bit of counter, a bit of press, mix it up a bit like, like how Newcastle played against Man City in that 3-3. They didn't quite press high, they didn't quite do a low block. It was kind of medium, They used the wings well. So I'm hoping this is why, the expectation for Ten Hag it's got to be at a rational level, because we don't just want to see results. For me, that could be taken as like a wrong statement, but we want to see a formula for the results so you can keep repeating them rather than like with Ole where it was snatch a win, like literally freestyle, and then we'd find it hard to replicate it for like all the games. So yeah, we've got to see a nice balance, man.
I agree. We're gone, but sorry, Eddie, do you want to just plug your channel before we leave, and then we'll wrap things up?
Yeah, thanks again for having me on, man. It's been good.
No worries. It's been good.
Yeah. So obviously, first and foremost, like and subscribe to Red Devil Studio. Hopefully, the team keeps winning, so he doesn't have to go on loan. And you can find me at Eddie's Football Waffle on YouTube. I've not really uploaded recently, but I'll have some stuff coming through in the future. But yeah, hit the like and subscribe for Red Devil Studio.
Cool, guys. Peace, guys. Have a nice day, everyone. And cheers.
Peace.